No way!
Oh yeah, here we go.
Oh, that's actually great.
Dynamite!
Feast your eyes!
Yeah!
God, shut the fuck up! Oh my God!
Eat my dick!
Here's something to remember me by.
Clutch the match.
No!
No! Yes.
No!
Yes.
No! Get hit with the Mafu Bar!
Oh shit!
Get hit with the Mafu Bar!
No!
Evil containment! Destructive death!
This ends now!
I'm gonna wrap this up! Spirit ball!
Special beam cannon! Here comes a giant fish!
Time to end this once and for all!
Yes! I'm home! I'm alive! This is all a miracle! I'm awake! What's up, everybody? This is the Saiyan Man here, and are you like me? Have the last 17 years of your life been nothing but pure suffering? Fantastic! Well, suffer no longer, my friend, because at last there is light at the end of this tunnel. Somebody has gathered all 7 Dragon Balls, summoned Shenron, and made their wish. Here it is.
Ya basta, Freezer!
Goku!
God, I love that clip. It's not going to be a Dragon Ball video without some top-tier shit posts.
Gohan, if we're fighting in midair, take it slow, okay?
Fight you? No, I want to kill you.
But this is what we wished for. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. This is the gift Santa never gave us. I can barely even see your character.
Yeah, right? It's a fuck. Maybe you shouldn't fucking play goddamn Wrath of the Dragon.
Oh no,
bullshit.
maybe I should, because I just fucking won! Let me just say that if Sparking Zero had a cock, there'd be some nuts on my chin right now.
Nuts on your chin!
But I know I have a heavy bias and some might not relate. Even so, I think any gamer even remotely familiar with Dragon Ball can appreciate the raw spectacle and pure weeaboo testosterone this game radiates.
You fall!
Sparking Zero certainly has its flaws. There's no crossplay, online matchmaking can be toxic at times, your enjoyment might be determined by the group of friends you play with, but even for solo players, I'd recommend this to just about anyone. Sparking Zero is one of the most monumental sequels we've seen in the last 2 decades. Developed by Spike and published by Bandai Namco, Sparking Zero is a sequel to one of my favorite fighting games, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Despite the word salad of a title, the BT series is near and dear to my heart. Defined by its massive roster of characters, flashy transformations, ridiculous combos, and fast-paced 3D combat, the Budokai Tenkaichi games went above and beyond to immerse fans like me into the Dragon Ball universe, to make it feel like we were fighting the same way they do in the show. Now, to put this in perspective, GTA 6 is only coming out 12 years after GTA 5. It's only been 13 years since George R.R. Martin released the last Game of Thrones novel, and it only took 14.5 years for Duke Nukem Forever to finish production. Sparking Zero is a sequel fans have waited 17 years for, okay? Now, how often does any game series or media franchise take a 17-year hiatus and mount a comeback as if they never left? Sparking Zero stays true to the roots of its prequels and the identity of the anime and manga which inspired those games.
Prepare to fight a real Super Saiyan! You're about to find out what it's like to fight a real Super Saiyan.
His power's only at level 5. His power level's only 5. Pitiful.
That's a unique interaction, holy shit.
It's canon.
It is. But am I overhyping Sparking Zero? Is the game even balanced? And if not, can it really be called a masterpiece? Well, let's head to Namek, finish this review in 5 minutes, and Kamehameha our way straight into this. Does anybody else find horrible English dubs of anime to be like a guilty pleasure? One of my favorites is the Big Green dub.
Let that child alone.
Aptly named because they changed Piccolo's name to...
It's Big Green!
Thankfully, the producers of this dub didn't exist in a time when we had access to the sponsor of today's video, Grammarly. Grammarly is an AI writing partner that, wouldn't you know, helps you out with your grammar, but its features and usefulness go far beyond just grammar. For example, I could take this normal, boring part of the script of this video and ask Grammarly to make me sound like a pirate. In my case, it's exceptionally useful for rewriting, revising my scripts, but it also has a lot of practical uses for people who have a real job, or if you need help writing and structuring an essay for school, writing a job application, not to mention creative writing, storytelling, if you're into that. It's one thing to have the ideas, but to put them on paper and to structure them so it's not an incoherent ramble. AI tools like Grammarly are not a replacement for your own creativity, but they can help you refine your ideas to be more presentable, polished, and concise. You need Make Grammar Bester? Then make sure you download and try out Grammarly today using the link in the description and pinned comment. And thank you, Grammarly, for sponsoring this video.
And now for something completely different.
When Sparking Zero was announced, my first thought was,
It's impossible!
this was a sequel nobody expected to be announced. Least of all that it ended up being everything I could have asked for and more. What should I throw? Rock? But what if Kakarot picks paper? Scissors? I have my doubts about this. Paper. Will that truly be the right pick?
Shoot!
Got him. Fuck yeah. Obviously, Dragon Ball chads such as myself are going to get the most out of a game like Sparking Zero, but it is a great starting point if you've never dived into this series. If you're already big into fighting games, I think you'll find Sparking Zero is quite unique. When you think of fighting games, your mind probably goes straight to Chun-Li's thighs, and I don't blame you. You might think of Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Guilty Gear Strive, Smash Brothers. 2 dimensions is kind of the norm for this genre, and 2D is typically more popular than 3D, especially in the competitive scene. But Sparking Zero is the mold breaker. It feels like you're fighting in 4D. Because of the insane movement, ability to fly across these massive battlefields and attack your opponent from all directions, there's nothing you can't do. Sparking Zero even sets itself apart from 3D fighters like Soul Calibur, and the maps are massive. They add a sense of scale and impact to every punch and kick, especially when you send your opponent flying into a building. Sparking Zero isn't meant to be a traditional, balanced, competitive fighting game. It's meant to be the opposite, and that's what I love about it. The game is instantly familiar to me. It has the exact same feeling and control scheme from the Budokai Tenkaichi games. There's massive combo strings, charged blasts, Russian burst attacks. You can spam ki blasts, a technique that always works in the Dragon Ball Z universe, kills every bad guy first try. There's unique grab attacks, multiple types of counters, directional power strikes. You've got beam struggles, destructible environments, mid-combat transformation. Mechanically, this game is fucking complex. It's like a BMW. And it takes time to truly understand all of the tools at your disposal and your opponents. Now, we could go in depth on all of the mechanics, like vanishing attacks, which allow you to teleport behind a flying enemy and hit them in one of 4 directions, but your opponent can counter your vanish attacks with their own. But you can also hit B during a vanishing attack and kick them into the ground. We could dive into all of that, but we won't. If the gameplay looks cool on screen, if it looks like I'm having a kick-ass time, it's because it is, and I am. When getting into a new fighting game, sometimes it's a very tough barrier of entry. And I'm happy to say in Sparking Zero, you don't have to get really good at the game to pull off some cool tricks.
You're gonna learn all this, and then you're just gonna go straight to button mashing.
Right? Yeah. There's a few bread and butter combos that I like to use, and once you learn them, it's so satisfying to pull off. And over time, you'll start incorporating all these different elements into your game plan. Remember when I reviewed Dark Souls and I talked about how every mechanic tied into the larger narrative? That's also true for Sparking Zero. Everything in this game is a callback to the anime and manga. Every type of attack, every camera shot, costume, every line of dialogue. It's like these games are made so you can recreate your favorite moments from the show. Gohan defeating Cell? Mr. Satan bribing Android 18? I'd pay her for some stuff too. And one of my personal favorite references.
You killed countless innocents to try and repair your meaningless pride?
Meaningless? What do you know of meaningless?
Don't you see the universe matters more than your meaningless squabble?
Meaningless, huh? What do you know of meaningless?
The main idea of combat is ki management. It's the same concept as stamina in other games. Ki is used for everything. dashing, jumping, ki blasts. You can charge it up, which leaves you immobile and vulnerable, or gain it from landing punches. A few characters like the androids charge it automatically, and once you hit full blast, you enter sparking mode, where the music amps up. You can unleash these devastating 50-hit combos that end with a spectacular blast to their face. But managing this resource ki is essential. The coolest, most damaging moves are called burst attacks. Each character and transformation has 3 of them. These are the flashiest, sexiest attacks in the game. They're colorful, beautifully animated, and while many of these attacks were in BT3, in Sparking Zero there's an extra level of personal care and touch in all of the animations for them. While it can be tedious and annoying to have little cutscenes interrupt the fight, it's a nice touch that makes players feel like they're rewatching the show. Naturally, when you first boot up the game, you'll probably jump into one of the many campaigns. And like most veterans of Budokai Tenkaichi 3, I thought I was hot shit. Kinda like Gohan in the Buu saga after not training for 6 years. And within about 10 minutes, I was getting obliterated. I was quickly humbled by the AI, and I refused to lower the difficulty. Oh my god. Every time I thought of giving up, Piccolo's voice would echo in my ears.
And you say you're the prince of the space warriors?
And he's right. I am the legendary space warrior.
Are you sure you mean the legendary warrior of space?
And it's much more satisfying to conquer this game on the hard difficulty. I beat Grade 8 Vegeta first try. I know, kind of a big deal. People were memeing on this as if it was like a boss in Dark Souls, but it is vital for first time and returning players to check out the robust tutorial mode, which, side note, it's adorable. This is themed as a training session between Gohan and Piccolo. The amount of mechanics can seem overwhelming at first, but this mode is worth checking out. It teaches you every button combo, and then you can start stringing things together on your own. Like every fighting game, you will experience the highest of highs and the lowest of lows.
I got his ass so good. No, he dodged it. Whoop.
When you're getting your ass beat, you will want to throw your controller into another universe. But if you're the one handing out spankings, you'll never feel more satisfied with your life choices. Oh, baby, there we go. Oh, look at that 62 hit combo. Ba-ba, 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 ba-ba. But Actman, is the game balanced? Am I going to be hit with some bullshit every time I hop online? Depends. But even if you do, that's kind of the point. The anime has never been properly balanced, so neither should Sparking Zero. I will die on that hill. Now, there's definitely some exploits, cheese, and infinite loops. It's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! You can be successful as a one-trick pony, and the best part, your strategy doesn't even have to be smart.
Can you handle this?
Yeah, you handled it.
Can you handle this?
What?
Can you handle this?
Oh my god, fucking...
But even the weakest, slowest fighters can hold their own against the most powerful in the right hands. It's like a handicap system built into the core gameplay, which also ties into the concept of power levels. Some things I find questionable, like the Super Dragon Dash, where you can basically teleport behind your opponent. It's difficult to anticipate this, and I think it should be slower to allow more counterplay. When you're getting attacked from behind, there's very little you can do about it outside of a very specific, hard to pull off counter move. So yeah, like every other fighting game, if you're going up against really skilled players, it can become frustrating. But I like that it's unbalanced, because that makes it more fun. It creates hilarious moments where a Frieza foot soldier can turn around and beat the shit out of his own galactic emperor. In keeping with tradition, like Android 17, Sparking Zero is packing a banger of a soundtrack. That's right, boys, a new workout playlist just dropped.
Burst open and mix!
Dude, some of these tracks sound like Metallica. It might even be death metal adjacent. Anything that's reminiscent of Bruce Falconer's score is S+ tier in my book. Not enough games have electric guitar in the soundtrack anymore. It's a travesty. I always struggle describing what I like about soundtracks because I don't know what to say beyond there's a party in my eardrums and everybody just came. So the Budokai Tenkaichi games were renowned for their absurd roster of fighters. Sparking Zero does not disappoint me. There are 180 fighters. Now, some gamers who are more hardcore than me don't like a lot of redundancies in competitive games. To which I ask you, what exactly do you find redundant about 20 different Gokus, 15 Vegetas, 11 Gohans, 9 Friezas, and 9 Trunks? That's only a third of the roster. You might be making the assumption that I think this is a problem, but
We do not care.
I am upset, however, that they're sold out of Yajirobe. He's just too valuable a commodity. Imagine how many versions of Mario you could put into a Smash Brothers game. The point is, Sparking Zero is not meant to be a balanced competitive fighting game. It's a celebration of the series. I think the roster is fantastic, but the issue with Sparking Zero is favoritism. For example, can we stop pretending that Tien can't grow 2 extra arms? Can we just... I feel like I was gaslit into believing this was a thing from a show I watched. Give Tien a transformation. I'm getting ahead of myself. But Tien and many other characters deserve a bit more love. Sparking Zero has a ton of different outfits and customization, but most of it is reserved to a small group of main characters. In BT2, I remember each character having at least one alternate costume. Still, it's the gameplay that matters most, and this game is in prime position to take advantage of a live service business model. I'll pay for new characters and cosmetics, sure. Did that for Smash Ultimate. While it would be nice to see more OG Dragon Ball representation, Super was the most recent show for a while, so it makes sense why they decided to include a huge cast from that and drop characters like Mercenary Tao, or Aurelie. Yes, there are tons of fighters, but don't be scared. Each one has the same control scheme. There are nuances in how each character fights, but for the most part, your skills with one fighter will transfer to any others. Now, one of my few critiques of the older games was that for some characters, they had to kind of fill in the moveset because they didn't actually do enough on screen. And the BT series would recycle a lot of animations for transformations. And this is where Sparking Zero goes above and beyond. They've added so much diversity into each fighter's moveset. Everything from how they're introduced, what pose they make, to how they charge up. Like, look at this goofy shit from the Ginyu Force. This is why I love these guys. This is why this poster's been in the background for 5 years. As a quick example, let's compare Frieza transforming in the last game
Thank you for waiting.
versus Sparking Zero.
Prepare yourself and behold!
What do you think? Was it worth the wait?
It's a no-brainer which one is best. The BT games were amazing, but Sparking Zero has really taken it to the next level in the animation department. If I had to convince somebody that Dragon Ball is worth getting into, first I'd ask them, what the fuck's wrong with you? But then I would point them to this game. Sparking Zero is everything that's cool about Dragon Ball. But what sort of content does Sparking Zero offer? Well, there's campaigns that take you through the journeys of certain characters and fights throughout the series. Custom battles let you create your own fights with your own rule set, share them with others. That sounds like user-generated content. Sound the alarms. User-generated content. Man, they knew who they were making this game for when they included Yamcha's Revenge as a custom battle where you have to beat 3 Cybermen, and if you get hit by their kamikaze ultimate, it's a one-shot kill. Stuff like that is a great way to keep things fresh. You also have tournament battles, which is exactly what it sounds. You can fight singles, 1v1s, team fights where there's no limit, and my new favorite, DP battles. It's a cool system that gives you 15 points worth of characters, and they assign different values to the roster. DP is a great mode because it encourages players to try out weaker characters or ones they might not have played much, instead of just going into singles and playing Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta every match. So it's a lot of fun mixing and matching team compositions. I don't do that, I just play Ginyu Force. I don't need to be any cooler than I already am. Certain teams will have unique interactions.
My, our clan would be unstoppable if we fought as a family.
And there's also ranked matches. You can set up fight rooms where other players spectate. You can play with your buddies. There's lots of nice features and fun ways to engage with the game. One of my favorites being the campaigns. Now again, there's a focus on Super for obvious reasons, which means they end up glossing over a lot of notable fights, but I think they put more effort into the fights and also the what if missions. More on those in a second. But we've already rehashed the DBZ series like so much. I understand why they'd want to focus more on Super. Some levels have different challenges like fighting multiple opponents in a row, surviving a certain amount of time, defeating foes quickly. Sparking Zero is a solid retelling of the best arcs from Z and Super, with the storytelling and presentation being a massive upgrade from Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Some parts have fully custom animations for the cutscenes, while others use a sort of vignette style with stills. Some campaigns seem to end arbitrarily though, like Vegeta's doesn't extend through Super and Piccolo's ends after the Cell Saga. Still, I think there's more than enough content for me, so it's not a huge deal. What is a big deal are the what if missions. Sometimes I look back at that alternate ending from the episode 3 game where Anakin kills Obi-Wan, murders the Emperor, and then says,
"No, the galaxy belongs to me."
And as a kid, that was the coolest thing ever. Not enough games include spin-off stories, but Sparking Zero does, and including these what-if scenarios, it's like a form of legitimizing fan fiction. What if Piccolo jumped in to save Goku from Android 19? Well, the timeline changes, and instead Piccolo goes into the hyperbolic time chamber to train with Gohan, and Piccolo ends up being the one to talk Gohan into defeating Cell.
Gohan, be proud of the man you are.
Aww.
Your kindness isn't a weakness. In fact, it's your greatest strength.
Someday, I want to become just as strong as you and Dad, Mr. Piccolo. Will you help me?
Wow. You grew up fast, kid.
That's so wholesome. Some of these branching what-if paths are short and sweet, but they could also have like 5+ missions in them. Like they really put a lot of thought into these. To unlock these branching paths, you have to meet certain conditions, which can be tedious, but it's 100% worth the effort. Though the game isn't always clear about what those conditions are. And it's also annoying that you're not able to quickly restart after you fail. This game is a love letter to Dragon Ball fans. It is chock full of references to the anime that had me jumping out of my seat like Leonardo DiCaprio. I got the reference. It's not just genuine, it's also lore accurate.
It's good to see you, Dad.
See ya!
It's good to see you, Dad. See ya. That's classic fucking Goku. This game knows who its audience is and who they're catering to, and not one bit of fan service feels forced or disingenuous. This ability to invoke nostalgia it's like mama's cooking.
That reminds me, anyone seen Launch around lately?
Anyone seen Launch around lately? Classic.
Oh my god.
Did you hear that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of characters have unique dialogue depending on the matchup, and it's always a treat to discover them.
Goku Black? I swear I'll... Huh? You're not black? Egg-led murderer! Hold your fire! This man isn't black! What?
These snippets of dialogue can be based on canon conversations, but there's also a hefty amount of what if these two characters met? What would they say to each other?
You've got telekinetic powers, right? If you're looking for work, I'm trying to replace this Guldo guy.
No way! Unique interaction?
Thanks, but no thanks. Tien's the only teammate I could ever need.
Gohan, this version of you I never got to see grow up. I just feel awful for what you went through.
You always did everything you could to protect this world, Dad. I'll keep carrying on your legacy.
They also wrote unique dialogue when swapping out characters.
Get you! I'll help you out!
There's probably tens of thousands of lines of dialogue in this game, and you can recreate the iconic Ginyu Force pose. You could recreate the pose! Yes! It takes an exceptional amount of effort and care to recreate all of these iconic poses. All these moves and fighting styles, they feel authentic to each character. And it's not just references to the anime I enjoyed, but also the previous games.
You're finished! Time to end this once and for all!
Yes, they kept the same fucking line from... Wow, that's awesome.
You're finished!
The Saiyans are a true warrior race!
Don't underestimate us! Oh, dude, that's straight from the previous game. That's so cool, they kept that. Oh my god, that's... Oh my god.
The Saiyans are a true warrior race! Don't underestimate us!
Even the menus are filled with fan service. Each menu puts Goku in one of many important settings in the Dragon Ball universe. These could have been boring menus like any other game, and nobody would have batted an eye. Instead, we get Mr. Satan hanging out with Boo and Videl. In the encyclopedia, there's a girls' corner where Bulma, Videl, and Chi-Chi talk about each character, revealing as much about their personalities as the character they're talking about.
I dumped his sorry butt after he cheated on me.
What?
But to be fair,
what? I don't remember this. It's also worth pointing out just how many of the voice actors are still lending their talents to these characters. In the story modes, as you progress, you'll see the other planets and locations you fought on earlier in the background, almost like it's signifying the journey you've taken as the player, but also the journey the series has taken. Now, the store is filled with different voice lines, emotes, characters, costumes, anything you buy in there. If you unlock it in the story, you'll be refunded the Zenny, which is nice. You get Zenny just by playing. So there's a good progression system, and you're able to customize fighters with ability slots that can improve your health, combo damage, etc. This allows players to theory craft and make even better versions of already powerful characters, but you don't have to play with these buffs. At the end of the day, I have very few gripes with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I'm biased, sure, but if your tastes align with mine, you will have nuts on your chin too. Sparking Zero is one of those rare examples I will hold up, point to, and say, this is how you make the perfect sequel, right here, by understanding what your audience is here for and giving them what they want. At first, the sales pitch for this game seemed too good to be true, and it ended up being true. I doubt there's a single Budokai Tenkaichi fan who would say, this game is worse than BT3. Not that he can hear me, and not that it matters, but Akira Toriyama, thank you. I hope while you're in Otherworld, you can see how we're all reacting to this game, and know that your mark on this earth will never be forgotten. This game made me feel like I was rediscovering a lost part of my youth. And that's a feeling words can't describe and money can't put a price on. And that is why Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is a masterpiece.